Welcome into another edition of Gas. I am Gresh. He is Jason Anik.
You were playing everybody and we're winning the game last night.
The head coach is fighting people on the sidelines.
What do you got for me?
I know you're a part of Tight Pants Society.
No fucking play is that a gimme, right?
Let's go! Here we are with another edition of Gas, just a little bit later today. Jay's got construction at his opulent estate, and I can't wake up. I mean, the transition from east to west, like when you're jacked up, like honest to God, Jay, we were in Vegas this weekend for the NASCAR race, and on Thursdays, and you know this better than anybody, when you're going out there, it ain't as bad, right? Like I woke up at 7 a.m. to go handle some vending business before we went to the airport to go. So I was up at like 6:30 on the morning that we were leaving, right? And then we come back home and it's 3:42 a.m. East Coast time, where the past 5 nights I'd been sitting at a pie gal table until at least 1 or 2 in the morning West Coast time. Like my one, but as crazy as this sounds, we were away. But our kid from college was home this weekend. He got a couple extra days, so he snuck home, right? So I get done playing Pie Gal one night, and I text him. He had a 5 a.m. East Coast wake-up call for a 7 a.m. flight. And I actually I was up late enough on the West Coast playing Pie Gal that I texted him to make sure he was okay and that he got up in time for his 7 a.m. East Coast flight. So now I'm on the East Coast, and I am completely freaking shockwad in so many ways.
Dude, I love it. So I had some plumbing issues at my house, and when I called Gresh, or I could say when I called Bear, it sounded like I interrupted some sort of hibernation this morning when I called. But you are right, man. Like my brother John has said over and over again, we do that, you know, East Coast to Vegas all the time. And he said some of these long internationals feel like less of an adjustment. This 3-hour thing, Gresh, sometimes can be really kind of funky. And for me, I experience it a little bit when I go out there. I know I sound like a baby, but like I go out there, I wake up at 5 a.m. every day out there when I'm out in Vegas. I can't.
You never adjust.
It's hard. And it's when and by the time I adjust, I come home and then I'm fucked like you.
Yeah.
And that's good to see you.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at today. Day one will be today is the toughest day of re-entry and trying to get back on clock. But I can't like when
a little delay because of the nor'easter. Was that?
Yeah, we were supposed to be we were supposed to be back on Monday, and we got a thing from the airline saying, hey, the weather where you're headed is fucked. Just know that you might not make it home on a connecting flight or because we actually, we flew in and out of Providence this time. See, for East Coasters, you can zip up to Boston, which is a nightmare in dealing with the airport and the traffic, but you can get a direct flight to Vegas. Or, you can connect through Providence. It's an easier airport. It's also 15 minutes from my house. Like, that's one of the things about landing back east is that if you land on the direct flight, you're still in Boston. And for me, that's a ride home. If you're lucky, it's clean, right? Or you're in Providence and you're landing in basically Warwick, Rhode Island at 11:30 at night, and there's not a ton of people on the road. You can get over the broken goddamn bridge pretty easily. So, when we got that, we were like, oh, man, we don't want to be like, I did not want to get stuck in Denver, Colorado for a night. So we just punted and came back the next day.
So you stayed an extra day in Vegas, which for me I would be ecstatic. Did that gain you money or lose you money? That extra day
it in the short term, it gained me, and in the long term, it didn't. Right. So we ran pretty hard on Sunday, right? Pretty hard, if you know what I mean. So my wife needed a little almost like a recovery day. She wasn't feeling bad, but she wasn't up to like going to bingo with me. By the way, I won $75 at bingo and scared the hell out of everyone in there, which is my favorite thing to do. Oh yeah. And I wasn't even
bingo.
Oh, dude, did I ever? So when you do it at Foxwoods, right? There's a lot of olds that play at Foxwoods. So you let out the big bingo, and all you hear is, yeah, it's like the rise of the old birds. And oh my God. And it's not only because you won, it's because you scared the hell out of them. So this was not an older crowd. However, mine was more, I was just the stoned guy sitting there fumbling on my phone, playing bingo on the computer, right? And the next thing I know, I look up and I'm like one number away, and all of a sudden they call and it says on the screen winner. So I just yell, it was obnoxiously loud. I didn't need to do it that way. However, I have a better story where I almost choked a motherfucker, if you'd like to hear that.
Please.
Have you ever been to the Pepper Mill in Vegas? It's a restaurant on the Strip. It's very Vegas local type place. It's down near Resorts World and stuff like that.
Got it. And the Conrad Hotel down there. I have not been to the Pepper Mill.
It is beautiful. First of all, it's one of the best restaurants in Vegas. It's very cool. There's normally a wait, okay? So this restaurant also has like a bank of seats that look dinerish, but they sit you down at those, okay? So we're in our 1 hour wait for our table, and I'm trying to be patient. I'm being a good boy. I'm not messing with them. You know what I mean? I'm not like playing slots or.
Are we having a cocktail?
No, I'm just kind of sitting there on my phone or whatever. No. We're waiting in the lobby. Like, this is for breakfast, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Those places packed. So this bald white guy walks in with his, I'll leave what I want to say about his wife out of it, okay? Because I got stopped. Because, honest to God, I got stopped from verbally eviscerating this woman to where she would have cried. I was loaded up to kill this lady. So listen to this. So you put in your name, all right? We're sitting right by where the girls got the names, and they go into the microphone, to be like, Cody, party of two, table's ready. Or they would go, Joe, first available for 4, Joe, first available for 4. And they were like calling them out, right? Well, some people would screw out of there. Like they put in their name and then they leave. So it'd be like, Herman for 2, last call. So this guy walks in with his wife and 2 daughters, right? Now, one of the daughters looks like she's a pretty good high school athlete. She's in really good shape. So the dad goes up to the counter, and when they walked in, which we could see, they had announced Omar for 5, final call. So I hear the wife say to the husband, who does not look like an Omar in any way, shape, or form, hey, tell him you're Omar. So he walks up to the thing, and I watch him say to the girl, I'm Omar, table for 5, and he winks at her, right? And then I see him reach in for his wallet because the girl's laughing. Now, to be fair, as a precursor, I said to my wife, I said, if this motherfucker gets by there, I'm going to lose my shit. So I warned her that there could be something brewing. So this guy bickers with the woman. He can't get a table. He's all torqued off. There were a couple of seats at that freaking like bar looking area, right? So the guy thinks he can just go down there and sit down by himself. So I am now watching this guy like a hawk. The girl shuts him down. He then grabs his wife and tries to go sit down at one of those. He comes over to the woman who's running the thing and goes, my wife just sat down at the counter. Is that okay? And I actually answered for her by saying, no. I'm standing up now in the Pepper Mill, and I'm saying it to this guy across the thing, right? And I'm like, no, it isn't. And I'm like, it's bullshit that you came in here and tried to do that. So basically, I called him out, okay? I called this guy out very loudly. He's completely stoned. He doesn't know what to do. Oh, yeah. So this is great. Now, had my wife not been with me, I would have made this bitch cry. So the guy, first of all, he comes over and he's standing in front of me going, I didn't know. And I basically said, yeah, because you thought you were going to get special treatment the whole time you came in here. And he just like gets flustered and walks away. So the wife sits right beside me and passive aggressively is on her phone going, yeah, I'm sitting beside the asshole now. And, oh, he's just 500 pounds or whatever. So I nudge my wife and say loudly enough, I say to my wife, I go, this bitch won't even say it to my face. And I said it kind of loud. And I'm like, this bitch won't even say it to my. So I literally, she knew what I was going to do. When she was done, I was going to get on my phone and say, hey, I'm near some, uppity cunt. Like, I would have gone there. And I told my wife, I said, well, as soon as she puts the phone down, I'm going to eviscerate this. I don't want to say what I said. And my wife goes, don't let it go. She's like, don't. She's like, no one else heard it. She's like, let it go. Because I literally probably would have stood up and said, like, gotten right in her face and said, if you have something to say, say it. Like, I would have been unbearable. So they sat there for 20 minutes uncomfortably, allegedly waiting for a table, and then hoofed out and left. And the lady was like, bye-bye. And I went right like this. I flipped her right the fuck off. Like, I don't know why. And my wife and I have not talked about this yet. Normally, if I eviscerate someone or if I bite, right? Or if I bite, then, okay, like she'll either try to. He kept me from, I'd have dog cussed the fuck out of that woman. I mean, I was loaded. I told my wife whenever the woman left, I said, here's what I would have said. And she's like, thank God you didn't say that. She's like, you're going to get in trouble someday. And I'm just like, yeah, I said that story will play well, to say the least. But
Dude.
yeah, I eviscerated a guy trying to slide by the rest of us, getting a table at a restaurant, really for no reason whatsoever, made them leave and was stopped from making. I would have crushed that lady so bad. I'd have crushed her.
I can only imagine.
And the poor daughters are just standing there like this the whole time. They're like, oh my God. They're like 16. They were mortified and embarrassed. And here I am standing there. I didn't cuss him. Now, by the way, I used the word bullshit because that was only a descriptor for what the guy was trying to do. Like, I didn't give him the whole "you stupid son of a bitch" or nothing like that. I didn't call him no names. So I felt like I was okay, but apparently I was not. Apparently I was
fake Omar.
Up and loud and fake Omar. And then, so when it all is said and done, there's a guy in a Dodgers cap kind of sitting up against the wall. And the guy kind of waddles over to check how long he has until his table's ready. And he looks at me and goes, thanks for saying something, man. He said, I've been sitting here too. He was like, I'm just glad you did it. I'm like, all right. And the guy was still there, and he like hears it, and he looks up, and they left with shame. It was great. I wanted to ruin her day so bad, though. Like, here's what's wrong with me. It would have made me feel better if I made her feel bad. Now, that probably is a human emotion, shouldn't happen. But thank God my wife was there, because I would have held that phone up to my ear and whispered such sweet nothings for her to hear. And it would have been so mean.
Thank God.
In that moment, that's what, yeah. Thank God my wife was there.
How about the guy coming over who wants to be on Team Gresh? Like, thanks for saying something, buddy. But what's so funny to me, I love you answering for the restaurant.
It bailed me out with my wife a little bit, I think, too. Like, when that guy came over, it was like, hey, you were doing the right thing. You might have scared the shit out of everyone in there, but you did the right thing.
Right. Well, I probably am a biter of my tongue in those spots. I think it's progressive. They have these commercials like "Don't be like your parents," right? Where there's like a coffee's ready for Jan, and the guy's like, Jan, right? That's like, is your table ready? You got Gresh up there. No, your table's not ready. Fake Omar. I mean, gosh, I don't even know where to take it from here. But what I will say is, we come at you every week, typically on Tuesday. We're here on a Wednesday, live, 11 a.m. Nope, 12 p.m. Gas. But Gresh. So because of this Wednesday thing or Tuesday thing or once a week thing, I say to you every week when we come on, like, so much happens in a week. So the last time we came at you was Tuesday, October 7th. The New York Yankees won a baseball game and stayed in the series against the Blue Jays that day. Then they lost the following day. They've been eliminated for the 16th straight season in their quest to raise banner number 28 or whatever it is. I assume you saw the David Ortiz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I mean, isn't that just absolute gold?
It is, and thank God Fox has Poppy on that broadcast. A-Rod is very good at being analytical. Jeter doesn't offer much other than, you want to bring him in as an analyst during the World Series for as bitter a taste that would be for us to deal with up here in New England. I would at least understand it. A-Rod's pretty good at breaking it down. Poppy is the real juice on that set. And, when he said what he said to Vlad Guerrero and all that stuff, and the whole Yankees lose and all that, it's never going to get old around here. But, thank God they have that guy on that set, because otherwise it's flatter than 4:00.
So it's a mockery of who John Sterling, who always says the Yankees win, right? On the radio. Is that the name? Is that his name, John Sterling, Gresh?
Yeah. He doesn't do them anymore. He is now retired. John Sterling. Yeah, he's like 90 years old.
But it just is so interesting. Like for Boston sports fans, right? Nothing gives me greater pleasure than when you see like the Celtics hanging out with the Bruins and, Drake May putting Roman Anthony in his Instagram story. And so I guess the fabric of David Ortiz sort of carrying this for Boston, I like so much. And I don't know if it was Cody or someone put in some text chain. They think A-Rod, it really bothers A-Rod, right? Because A-Rod probably whereas Jeter actually probably I think my brother said Jeter probably likes it. Jeter probably doesn't want the Yankees to win without him.
I would agree. And A-Rod now sits there. Yes, he ultimately made his way to the Yankees, but really, A-Rod should have been a teammate of David Ortiz's had Major League Baseball not stepped in and completely sort of muttered that whole thing up. Hey, while we're on it, because I know that you and I are loaded for a ton of football talk today, and rightfully so. We got some picks at the end of the show. Your quick thoughts on Alex Bregman opting out with the Red Sox.
So I want to ask you a question about this before we move on from Bregman.
Okay.
All year, as soon as he signed this 1-year deal with these opt-ins, I told you I will lock him up, right? So it was 3 years, 120 million, really a 1 year, $40 million deal. A lot of people think this is just going through the motion, sort of opting out. This was going to happen no matter what, even if he intends to re-sign. Apparently, maybe he wants more length or whatever. But I guess as of this moment, I mean, for me, I just want him to walk through those doors again. What would your guess be? Do you think you think they can work it out? Can they be the highest, longest bidder in the Alex Bregman sweepstakes?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I do wonder who the other suitors are going to be. And it seems pretty evident that Bregman wants a 7-year deal. Now, I understand on that end why the Red Sox would be reluctant. I think they're still paying Dustin Pedroia money because they got all wrapped up into signing him. And, so what? Who cares what he looks like a 37? Let's just lock him up now. I don't think the Red Sox want to play that game anymore. They don't want wasted money. So I do think there will be a limit to Bregman for the Red Sox, maybe 4 or 5 years. And Jay, the Red Sox might not lose because of average annual value. To me, the Red Sox might lose the player because smartly, you're not going to invest 7 years in a guy who's crested 30 years old and be the Boston Red Sox. I don't think that's how they do it anymore.
I like how you took it, right? And where you took it, excuse me. He only played 114 games this season, fewest since 2021. Certainly tapered off after the injury, right? He was on a pace. Had he not gotten injured, that would have really changed the terms of this deal. But I do think, and I think Cody alluded to this in the past, maybe in a text thread, that perhaps his performance helped the Red Sox a little bit because it wasn't as if he was a world beater down the stretch.
Yeah, I think that's where the whole free agent fit comes into play. Well, here's another thing too, Jay. Like, what do you do with him? Is he a second baseman or is he a third baseman? So because he has position flexibility in the field, I think there's a chance that maybe there's going to be a surprise team that could end up being in this thing. But, Boris is pretty smart. And the only guy that I remember with Boris opting out and ending up worse was Jason Varitek years ago, but there was some other stuff going on there.
Yeah.
But normally when this guy tells someone to opt out versus opt in, he knows that the market there's a reason the Red Sox only went year to year. And there's a reason Boris only went year to year with the Red Sox, essentially, was to get that $40 million number for this year, which he ended up getting, and then now trying to shop and market the wares in free agency off of that number. So maybe it ends up 7 years at $35 million a year from somebody for Bregman. man, that's still a hell of a commitment to a guy who's 31 and didn't play a bunch of games this year.
I agree. You know, we've talked a lot about Bregman loving the young players on this roster. Obviously, Roman Anthony, had he been in the mix, who knows? They could still be playing baseball right now. Garrett Crochet is in for the long term. You know, that's a big piece. He loves it in Boston. What is it that you say? Is it the Steve Buckley? What does he say about Boston guys?
Yeah, Steve Buckley has always termed it the Boston baseball experience.
And so I do believe that Bregman probably liked a lot of what that was. I know that experience encompasses a lot of things. I hope Alex Cora is still going to be the manager. I think that sort of longevity in the position matters. And I think he believes in the roster around him. So I'm really hopeful this happens because that really is still the guy. Alex Bregman's the guy I wanted last offseason. He's the guy I want this offseason as well. I know we got to move on to football.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting where the Red Sox will end up. And you know, who ends up winning this whole World Series when it's all said and done? Because look at what Seattle did. You know, they leveraged some of their future to go get some bats this year, and they might end up playing for a world championship. So
yeah,
what it might also do is embolden some other teams in free agency to say, let's go do the same thing with old Alex Cora. All right, so I'm following the old sheet here, and before we get to football, can we? Here's what it is. I'll use a line that probably the YouTube won't like or whatever. Let's tickle our own taint for a moment by talking about Crazy Joe Mazzulla and the Boston Celtics, because unbeknownst to me, Jay, now normally in Boston, there is the media versus media basketball game, and they have, one set of rubes against the other set of rubes, and they're all dying in the end. And, they take their group photo. Yeah, we got to play inside the Auerbach Center, blah, 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 right? Well, this year, old Crazy Joe Mazzulla decided, no, you media people are on your own team, and you'll take on the Celtics coaches. And one of the media people put out a video yesterday of what I guess you could call 10 seconds of action. I mean, that's Steph Curry from the freaking logo. Here you go. Final score, 54-7. The Celtics coaches, for whatever reason, decided to just get all the people out on the floor to cover them and embarrass them. For what reason, Jay?
It is unbelievable what Joe Mazzulla has done with this relationship to the media. I mean, we joke about like the Bill Belichick comparisons, right? But you could argue that he's taken it to a whole nother level in a whole nother lane. You use the word crazy twice, talk about Joe. And I sat here and wrote words as you said crazy the first time. Brilliant, progressive, cutthroat, authentic. I love everything about this guy, right? I'm sure he's got tons of reasons for doing it. The bonding with the coaches, the middle finger to the media, which I think is not malicious, more just fun, right? You remember last year?
I agree.
Right?
Just like I use the word crazy in fun.
Exactly.
Because compared to other NBA coaches, he does things where people are like, what's he thinking? Now he's thinking how to win a championship. So he's doing.
Well, and I promise you it was intentional with whatever that built with the assistant coaches. And, in terms of the media, right, what he said, he's like, it doesn't matter, we're all going to be dead in 40 years. None of you are invited to my funeral. Like, he probably has some really good relationships with some of those media members, And
does.
So, one thing I want to say to you quickly, because we're on the Celtics, right? And I could talk about Mazzulla for days. But it's like everybody's a doctor, right? Everybody wants to talk about when Tatum's coming back. Everybody has all these strong opinions on the Celtics. Oh, the punt a year, right? Right. Jaylen Brown gets a little bit banged up. You shut him down, blah, blah, blah. We've talked about the wide open Eastern Conference. Tatum is walking through that door at some point. I bet Joe Mazzulla is having a difficult time not keeping a smile on his face. I really think this team's going to surprise a lot of people, potentially right out of the gate. I understand they don't have the depth or maybe as solid a roster, but I believe in this team a lot. Your thoughts?
Well, the one thing that I like about Joe in dealing with this injury is he'll be a part of the plan and the planning process of what they do when Jason can come back. Meaning, put through the paces. We want to make sure we're going to put this guy out on the floor and he's going to be okay. That requires the head coach to not be pushing management. Hey, when are we getting them back? When are we getting them back? When are we getting them back? I really do think that they built this team for this year. And if you have the great problem of getting Jason Tatum back right around April or for the playoffs, then I think Joe Mazzulla will have a plan to kind of figure that out. Like, I say the crazy Joe Mazzulla in the vein of crazy Joe Davola from Seinfeld, but this really is like with this guy, he sees things differently. He thinks about things differently. He does things differently, and he does it. And here's where, to me, Mazzulla is like Belichick. If it's working, I don't care if you don't like it. I'm still going to go out there and do it because I didn't give a crap when I put it together in the first place. And that's what I do love about Joe Mazzulla, that's where he's like Belichick. But where I think Mazzulla isn't like Belichick is that he is open to thought, collaboration, and conversation. And Belichick doesn't do that all the time.
100%, and building relationships with each guy. I believe there's free agent. Forgive me, the name's escaping me, but he went to his baptism, right? We know Joe Mazzulla leans heavily on his faith, but just give me all of it, right? And, Brad Stevens, when he was the head coach, you could argue overachieved with this growing roster, right? Tatum and Brown were playing a lot of really important games early in their careers. Mm-hmm. I could argue Ime Udoka overachieved in spots. And I think Joe Mazzulla is well equipped to overachieve with this roster. I think you made a great point that this team is built for this year. And I think Joe Mazzulla likes the opportunity to sort of develop these guys. These guys aren't going to get a lot of opportunity to develop in real games playing behind Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis if they're healthy and you're running all over people. So it was interesting. Did you hear Mazzulla say, and I know you were chomping there, did you hear Mazzulla talk about how he wishes there were no preseason games? And
yeah, I did.
Just practice every day?
Yeah, I did hear that. That was, again, that was one where people were like, huh, what? Like, I want to see Hugo Gonzalez play some preseason basketball. He kind of needs to. I wonder if Mazzulla said that because his roster might be a little better than people think, and because they are going to see guys like Hugo Gonzalez or whatever, you're going to realize why they need to trade Anthony Simmons or Simons, whatever it is, the kid that they got in the deal from Portland. I still think there is a move. There's still one more move coming for this Celtics team to be able to really set them up the way they need to be. But I did find that interesting because most coaches go to the injury factor. I don't think Mazzulla was referencing anything about injuries in not really wanting to play or in the comments on the preseason.
I agree. Moving on to pigskin, if we can.
Let's go to the young star in Boston right now, and that would be Drake May after the Patriots. They now lead the AFC East. They go on the road as 7-point favorites and beat New Orleans 25-19. So of course they missed by one. I had a 4-leg parlay that I put in when I got to Vegas, Jay, and it blew up right away. Like Denver wins, but they don't cover. It pisses me off. They win by 2 against the Jets. We could beat the Jets, for God's sakes.
So you slept through that? Did you sleep through that game, by the way, 6:30 on the West Coast?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
See, and I would have been no matter what.
Now, you would have been up sweating it?
Oh, I would have been up. Yeah, and speaking of sweating it, the Broncos had no business winning that game. It's unbelievable. The Jets are professional losers this season. It really is.
It's really amazing. Yeah, I think I caught. I probably had to get up to take a leak, so I think I might have flipped it on like in the fourth quarter or did a check there. Well, because and I had the Cowboys who lost outright. Patriots didn't cover by 1. Denver didn't cover. Cowboys lost outright.
Patriots covered.
I had no. It was 7. It was 25-19.
No, they were 3.5, 4-point favorites. They're 7-point favorites this week. Where'd you get the Patriots -7? Where
okay. That you know what? Then you're right. I did get them mixed up. It would have been Patriots then -3.5. Cowboys lost outright. Like as soon as Denver lost, I just threw the thing away and was like, nah, to hell with it. You know what I did though? How about this? I'll never do this again. Even though I was on the West Coast, my last leg of a college football parlay was Utah State -1 at Hawaii. So even for the West Coasters, that's a late start.
Yep.
So I am it's literally 3:00 in the morning, because I think it was like an 8:00 kick Hawaii time. So it's like 3:00 in the morning West Coast time. And there I am playing a little bit of the computerized roulette. And I'm like, I'm smoking a cigar and I'm watching the game. And I look and I squint and I'm like, is it only in the third quarter? And the guy beside me goes, yeah, that Utah State game started late out of Utah. Those are the worst for us on the West Coast. And I'm like, oh, goddamn. So I bet into literally the last game on the board, and I needed it to hit it would have been like 50 to win 550. I'd like Clemson in there hammering BC, the UNLV over. I forget what other game I threw in there, and I just needed Utah State to cover 1.5 against the Hawaii team. Then normally when you go to them, they get smacked. Like meaning Hawaii, like if it's a halfway decent team, Utah State's okay. I lost outright, and I had to fucking step till the middle of the night to see it. Brutal. But anyway, I will never do that again, betting the last game on the board or the latest game on the board. But anyway, let's get to the Patriots. So it's they beat New Orleans. What did you make of the performance of the defense? Because I admit I'm a little conflicted. But there is a big caveat to throw in there when you don't have Christian Gonzalez. So, how do we sort of analyze what we saw defensively against the New Orleans team that record-wise is pretty bad?
Cody, double check me. I believe Christian Gonzalez played, unless I'm losing my
Hold on.
mind.
I thought he was maybe he did, and
but Gresh, I will say, right?
I thought he was an actor.
Defense looked a bit shaky, right? And I know Milton Williams was questionable going in. He certainly didn't pop. I didn't look at a snap count, but I do think the defense did look a little bit shaky. There were times where New Orleans did a lot of good things. But I also think Kellen Moore is a very good offensive coach, right? And some of these teams, as they transition in the bottom of the NFL, whether it's Cleveland, with Carolina, sneaky 3-3. I think New Orleans doing a lot of right things. So a lot of good things.
Oh, you're right. Gonzo was out there. I thought Gonzo, I saw something that Gonzo and Williams were out, and then I saw Williams in there, and I thought, oh, they know they're so good, they can sit two of their best defenders and still win this game, was exactly my thought.
Well, but they definitely had their shaky moments, right? And this game really could have been a Patriots rout. There was a penalty on Diggs on a long pop Douglas, a sort of offensive pass interference penalty, a little bit shady, that took away a long pop Douglas touchdown, would have been his second long touchdown. But I thought New Orleans really showed up. Patriots fumbled the ball twice, but didn't lose either one of them. They didn't turn the football over. And as this team at 4-2, they're probably going to be favored in their next 3 games. As they look to really sort of solidify themselves in the AFC, if you're going to not turn the football over, and the defense is not going to have days like that, you're going to be a tough team to beat, right? There was one play in particular from Drake May where he threw an incompletion with his left hand as he was sort of going toward the boundary.
Yeah.
No. Well,
no, I know
what you want to say after, but as he was going away. But the point I want to make is he really is a supreme athlete. Like, his brother plays basketball at Duke or whatever, and he does have a little bit of Patrick Mahomes in him. And so what I will say is there are moments like that. He is a step ahead, right? And I begged for him to be like Jaden Daniels. And gosh, he's starting to look a little bit like Jaden Daniels in a lot of these ways. So that play in particular stuck out to me because he makes it look very easy doing something that's very difficult that ends up, he's really eliminating these negative plays. He does so much right. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, man.
No, look, I am too. The reason that I don't like the whole play of the, flipping it with the left hand or whatever, if you're doing it within the context of a play, that's one thing. It's the whole, what I don't want Drake May to develop, Jay, is him thinking he's Superman and can do a lot of those different things that lead to mistakes, right? You've got to, you praise the play in the moment, but you reinforce that's really not how we should be doing things. We're assuming a level of risk, And that's where you're coaching the kid. Here's to me where I think May is getting so much better. The ability in the pocket. There was one play where he hit back foot and there was, this might be the one. Look at that. Keeping the eyes up and throwing it to Booty. Now that's a dangerous throw in the back of the end zone because it's one-on-one and he's tightly covered. All right, so people will be like, wow, the throw. To me, the throw wasn't the deal there. It was the fact that he moved around in the pocket and kept himself up and ready to throw the football, whereas last year it would have been back foot would have hit and he would have been running right out of there.
Great stuff.
To me, that's the develop
fucking Booty, huh?
Yeah, you know what? Kayshon Boutte.
We talked about him last week. What?
If the guy would just consistently show up to practice, and I'm not talking about he's like missing it as if he isn't there. He's there, but he's not there.
Interesting.
Kayshon Boutte is a first-round talent. And we sit here and we praise the guy when he gets 5 for 93 and 2 touchdowns, right? And there's more. The thing is, there's more of that in that guy. And maybe Vrabel and crew and May are figuring out how to get more out of Kayshon Boutte. But like people are always, they react to the big days with the guy like they found like it was Edelman. You know what I mean?
Well,
we found this 6th-round guy who's really good. In reality, like I look at Kayshon Boutte as a disappointment because there's great football in him, and why hasn't it come out? That's what I don't understand with the guy.
Well, but I think it's starting to come out, right? And it is a team, right? Just because he's not doing 8 for 120 and a touch, right? It's like seeing a guy go up and get the football like that, like the way N'Keal Harry was supposed to be that guy, right? And gosh, we talk about the depth of this wide receiver room, Gresh. It's so interesting to see Kendrick Bourne out there with Mac Jones in San Francisco, right? And by the way, for all of you Mac Jones lovers, a couple really bad interceptions last week, right? Mental get right, like Mac Jones.
No, he'll throw a bad pick. There's no question about
but
that.
You see Kendrick Bourne doing some stuff out there and the depth, right? Kyle Williams having a difficult time sort of cracking the snap count, if you will. So Kayshon Boutte is there for a reason. There's so much to like about this team, Gresh. And right. So Cody puts in notes. You win the next 2, you're 6-2 with Tennessee and Cleveland. Then you're home to Atlanta. You could be favored there potentially. Just fascinating, Gresh. It's hard not to be really excited. And the AFC is hilarious this year. Talk about the parity in the National Football League. It's all we want, right? It really is unbelievable. I mean, Ravens at 1-5 with Lamar Jackson coming back have a sniff.
Well, it's the way that NFL management had always wanted it set up. Like even before Paul Tagliabue, yeah, like it was how can we make everybody mid, and they tried to do so. Here's my beef with Boutte, okay? 1 catch, 16 yards, 2 catches, 28 yards, 1 for 18, 3 for 43, 5 for 93. That's kind of the year for Boutte so far. I just don't understand why the guy doesn't show up more consistently. But be that as it may, Jay,
it's not fantasy football though. What did Diggs do this week? And Diggs looked happy as a pig in shit on the sidelines with his 1 catch or whatever it was.
Right.
I mean, they really are deep, you know?
No, that's the thing is that, well, I think with Pop Douglas kind of mixing in, it definitely sort of adds to the depth. And listen, I hear you on Diggs, but you know what? Diggs is at least coming back from an ACL. Boutte has to fight his own fucking mind to get his ass out there and practice hard. But that's the guy that we're going to bow down in front of.
Well, no, you know what, though? See, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds
like
you definitely have some inside information about Boutte's practice habits. Am I correct?
Well, I think for 3 years we've seen this guy do this occasionally once in a while. And there hasn't been the consistency, right? And I get it. We can blame Bill. We can blame Mayo. Now we have Vrabel. Maybe the continuity does end up helping the guy. I just think, Jay, there was a reason he was drafted in the 6th round. There's a reason he shows us first-round flashes, but there's a reason he's inconsistent. And to me, that is more about that's more about the player than sort of what's going on around him, in my opinion, because all 3 coaching staffs said, man, this guy's a first-round talent. Like, there isn't anything he can't do. But we don't see that kind of pop and flash. But I'll tell you what, you start get Pop Douglas here, Jay, cooking in the slot along with these tight ends. Now you're going back to McDaniels calling plays for early Brady type stuff.
It's great stuff. And you know, Josh McDaniels, New Orleans did a lot of things well defensively. And Josh McDaniels, I thought, had a very great instinctual game, right? put the ball in Drake May's hands because it wasn't going to happen on the ground that day, the way maybe they've been able to beat up other teams. I thought he had a brilliant game. And quickly, Gresh, as we talk about sort of the AFC picture overall, as the Patriots, as you see, they're leading the division, find themselves right in it. And Cody, you can put that graphic back up. You know, you see different teams at the top, right? And I'll tell you about the Colts, right? I'm curious how you feel about the Colts, because I do believe, I know where you're going already. Haters gonna hate. Stop hating, Gresh. The Colts, right? So first in football, points per game, 32.3, allowing the fourth fewest at 19.3. I know schedule hasn't been that tough, gets a little bit harder, but I've said to you over and over again, my brother John and I have liked Daniel Jones a lot more than the world forever. He is getting a little bit of protection. When Jonathan Taylor is healthy, that's a really significant, I say top 3 back in football, potentially, maybe top 5. And Steichen knows what he's doing. I mean, I think a lot of good things about that team in a division that feels always up for grabs. So I do believe in the Colts. It didn't surprise me to see Jacksonville sort of fall at home to Seattle. I didn't think they were as good as their record. So it's a really interesting conference. And dare I say the Patriots, I got them 80-1 to win the Super Bowl beginning of the season, 40-1 is out there. It feels a little wide open in this conference in a way it hasn't in a while.
I'm 100% with you. And you just look at the division leaders right now are Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, New England, and the LA Chargers. There's no one in America who would have had that combination 6 weeks into the season is to here we're going to be your division leaders. And look, I'm not a fan of Daniel Jones. I think he stinks. I'm not a big fan of the coach and the GM there in Indianapolis. I'm not a huge fan of those guys, but let me tell you, and I think I might be the first person in America to say this, the Colts are going on their Vikings run of last year. A quarterback out of nowhere, a defense that plays over their head, a group that comes together and has some, like you said, little favorable schedule. They get some mojo, bitch. They're working. So to me, I'm now starting to wonder if the Colts are setting up their sort of Cinderella, like Minnesota season of last year, where you just have some jag quarterback walk in there and play his ass off. And the next thing you know, you're 14-3 and people are loving on you. That's where it feels like the Colts are headed.
Yeah, you're 14-3, right? You win your division, and then your first playoff game is at home against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and you're 4.5-point underdogs at home after going 14-3.
Hey, Indianapolis, here's your welcome present, the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Or someone like that. It's interesting that you mentioned the Colts schedule, because it's the whole who have they played, right? The Dolphins, the Broncos, the Titans. They lost to the Rams. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Cardinals.
This week, the Rams. Sorry,
they should have. This week, Indy has the Chargers at LA. That's a good road test for them. And then they come back for Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Atlanta, which are all winnable games, and 2 of them are at home. They got to go to Pittsburgh. That might be, an early playoff preview. And then comes the bye week for the Colts, and then here's your second half of the schedule for the Colts, baby. At Kansas City, home for Houston, at Jacksonville, at Seattle, home for San Francisco, home for the Jags, and then at the Texans to end the year. So, Jay, you might be right in terms of the Colts. Maybe this turns into a little bit of a tale of 2 seasons because of that schedule. Good job by you pointing out the schedule toughness for the Colts the rest of the way.
Well, and these schedules, right? I always say this. I feel like a lot of people, when they talk about these schedules, it's so unknown on so many levels how different, right? It's like Cincinnati Bengals don't look nearly as difficult on your schedule as they did at the beginning of the year. So, right? I mean, so we could go on and on in terms of that. One thing I want to say about the Patriots as we sort of spin it, and we'll give you some bets for week 7 as we spin it forward. So Mike Vrabel going back to Tennessee here, right? And we could talk for days, but isn't it so interesting that they fired their head coach this week as Mike Vrabel?
And you know back? What? And Jay, you know what? That takes the steam out of that whole angle, doesn't it? Right? You're not going against the guy who replaced you. You're going against the guy who replaced the guy who replaced
Ryan
you.
Callahan, the guy that replaced him. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they punted Vrabel. So we're on the shuttle bus from the rental car place to the Vegas airport yesterday, right? Guy's got a Tennessee Volunteers hat on, and he's holding a Tennessee Titans bag. And the guy who's sitting beside me looks at him and goes, "Hey, just got rid of your head coach." First thing this guy goes in on, okay? Hayseed Jones, here he goes, and he goes, "Well, they finally got rid of that Callahan. He was more like his dad, who's a loser." And he was like, "Hell, the guy we really wanted is up in New England now, and he's turning them around." He was like, "They never should have got rid of Vrabel down here." And the guy's just going on and on and on. And I said, "Yeah, we live in New England." And I said, "Vrabel's our head coach now." And he goes, "You got a good one, man." He was like, "You got a guy who's a dude." He's like, "He's a man." He's like, "That guy's jumping in the pile and getting balls." And he goes, "While Callahan ain't got none." And I'm like, "Oh shit." He's just eviscerating this guy. So yeah, I think he went 4-19, did Junior Callahan as a head coach. And then they, well, you know what it is, Jay? Can I just walk back quickly? You know, when you and I started this show last November, we were in the throes already of the NFL season. But one of the things where Chicago really screwed up was, if you're unsure about the coach and you really believe in your number one overall pick quarterback, then rip the Band-Aid off and make the move now. Don't let that, like Chicago gave Caleb Williams, what was it, 7 games of Matt Eberflus. And then the guy who was calling plays is now like the tight end coach here, and they threw some passing game coordinator, title on him to make him feel good, to get him in the building or whatnot.
Yep. And that's a great point. And I will say timing and circumstance was a little different with Gerard Mayo in New England, but in a similar thing, the one thing I'll credit the Crafts over that, where they ripped that Band-Aid off, and had they not ripped that Band-Aid off, gosh, I mean, we said it over and over again. It's unbelievable how significant that was. We could talk about it for days.
And when you see it on the back end, bro, like when we see now how it looks with Vrabel, it really, because the last year Belichick was so foreign to a lot of people. They were still playing great defense, but they couldn't do nothing on offense. And then you had Mayo come in, and then you saw just literally everything fall apart. And now you bring in someone where they clearly have a direction, and they know what they're doing, and they know where they're going in Mike Vrabel. And I don't want to say like it feels like when Bill was here, but it kind of does feel like when Bill was here.
It does. And final comment from me before we move on to week 7, right? I've said over and over again that I think they're a year away. And I don't stand by that statement as much. While I don't think the Patriots are raising a banner this year, I don't necessarily think they're a year away. Do you feel me? Right? Stranger things have happened. I do believe if they can improve, and we talked a little bit about the defense, it is not going to shock me, right? I mean, if they get 6-2, right? Stranger things happen. They win the division. Not going to shock me. I think this team is going to be very difficult to beat. And so dare I say, maybe they're a contender, Gresh.
Well, I'll add this. Listen, they're in the mix as much as anybody. But think about I know it's jumping ahead, but think about the draft, right? 2 years ago, it was, oh, we don't care which one falls to us. Just let one of those 3 quarterbacks fall to us. And it made the decision on their own, right? This past year, they had to make the decision, are we going to go defense or do we go Bill Campbell? So it was like, you had to draft quarterback. You had to draft left tackle. Now, this year going into the draft, we're not going to be sitting here, Jay, saying they have to do this because they have a massive hole on the roster. They're now back to trying to find the best player for the football team, in my opinion. It's not draft by numbers because I don't have this and I don't have that.
Absolutely great stuff. And I love the fact that you have adopted Bill Campbell as his name, the same way that I have, that he's just not Will to us anymore. Thank you.
I have stolen that for television. I've used it a couple different times there. So thank you for allowing me to steal it.
And I have to just say, quickly, one of my best friends growing up, he was Willie and his dad was fucking Bill. Okay. And like playing left tackle for the New England Patriots, Will. I mean, I would love, I mean, maybe he's Will Campbell II. I'm going, but you know, I mean, come on, you're a man. You're not a boy anymore. You're a man. It's Bill Campbell.
I remember when Zoe and I were working in Boston and we had on Dougie Hamilton and Zoe asked him that question. He was like, where do you go away from being Dougie? He's like, what, 35 years old and they call you Dougie? Am I supposed to go with little on that? Like, seriously. But you know what it is, Jay? I'll tell you what it is. And you know what? Our producer, Cody Marrow, is going to be able to really relate to this, too. How many people in New England do you know where people add the M-Y or M-I-E to finish it, right?
I don't know.
Right? My friend John, no, my friend's not Jim. He's Jimmy, right? And you're right. To your point, it would be, oh, yeah, Scotty Zolak. I watch him throw the ball, Scotty. Like, in New England, there's, for some reason, it's the whole, we want to, like, I am shocked that people, that I haven't heard, yeah, that Joey Mazzulla. You know what I mean?
Right,
because they love to add the end to it on the first names. It's a New England thing. What are you going to do?
It's hilarious. All right, so we're going to do something new every week on Gas. We're going to give you 3 NFL picks. We're going to go head-to-head against each other. We haven't determined what the prize or punishment will be, but I think over the next 6 days between Cody Marrow, our producer, Gresh, and myself, will come up with that. So we're going to give you 3 plays. We're going to do an Olympic podium, right? So we're going to give you a gold, a silver, and a bronze pick, right? We're going to give you our third. The selection we like the most will be gold. Selection we like second best will be silver. Selection we like the least, or our third best, actually, will be the bronze pick. And we'll come up with a point structure. Gold will be worth, let's say, 3 points, silver worth 2, bronze worth 1. We're going to go head-to-head. We're going to go head-to-head. And if we end up on the same side, so be it. These are NFL picks against the spread because I've been itching to do this. So, Gresh, if you have anything else to say, you can say it. If not, we'll take your first selection.
In what order do you want the picks? Do you want bronze, silver, gold?
Exactly.
Okay. So we're going bronze, silver, and gold then.
So your third best pick against the spread in week 7 in the National
So
Football.
my bronze pick is, and I hope I got this right. Chargers -1.5 hosting the Colts is my bronze medal pick. First time for the Colts to really deal with in my opinion, as we read through the schedule, some of those AFC teams they play can't get out of their own way. This is going to be the first time they're going to see a team that is maybe built like them a little bit, you know, big. We want to run the ball. The difference is at quarterback. And I think that's ultimately quarterback and kicking, I think ultimately win this game and cover this number for the Chargers at home. Massive AFC battle against Indy.
Yeah, that's a tough game for me. I probably don't have a lean right now. That Chargers offensive line is so decimated that it gives me a little bit of pause, I think. But they're still a designated favorite for a reason. So, yeah, I may go in that direction. All right. So my bronze selection here is, I'm shocked I'm doing it tomorrow night, Thursday night. I'm going with the Bengals, Gresh, +5.5.
Wow. Do you believe? Is this a Joe Flacco pick here?
It's so funny. I thought you were saying, is this a joke? Right. So it's Flacco hosting good stuff, bone marrow there. So it's Flacco hosting, Flacco hosting Aaron Rodgers. All right. So last week I had the Green Bay Packers in Survivor against Joe Flacco, right? And as soon as Joe Flacco was traded from the Browns to the Bengals, I almost didn't play the Packers as my Survivor pick because I was like, Joe Flacco is going to ruin my day. And he almost did. For those who didn't see the game, right, the Bengals were chasing all day, right? But late, right, they ended up going for 2. It becomes a 6-point game. Jordan Love had to make some really big plays. Josh Jacobs, Packers had to do a lot to sort of win that game, right? But Joe Flacco immediately was better than Jake Browning. I mean, looking for number 5 and Jamar Chase all day. It was unbelievable. So, Mike Tomlin came out and he had some criticism for the Browns trading a quarterback in division to a team that needs a quarterback. He came out and criticized, and he also said, yeah, maybe Flacco will be a little bit more prepared this week, having been with the organization a little bit longer. So quick turn Thursday night. I like Pittsburgh to win the game, but I think Flacco is going to be that fly in the ointment. So I'm taking the points there tomorrow night. Bengals +4.5.
That's pretty good. No, that's pretty good stuff right there. I'm going to resist the urge of going Detroit. I don't know if you've seen this trend that is at, hang on here. Let me
Detroit at home against Tampa Bay.
So it's the
the
Lions are 11-0 ATS in their last 11 games following a loss. The Buccaneers are 9-0 ATS in their last 9 road games, getting 3+. Wow. So there's a convergence of numbers there. I really like that Detroit one, but I'll be honest, I'm gonna pass on that, and I'm gonna go to Monday Night Football, where Seattle right now is.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Please.
I want to say one thing about that you just said about that Detroit Tampa Bay.
I just passed it all.
No, you're good. But I like that you went there because it's really one of those games, as I look at it, right? Like where when you see both sides and you give stats like that, for those of us that like intangible stuff and chemistry and things like that, we love stats like that. Yeah, sharp stat on both sides, right? For me, it's like, I don't see Detroit losing that game, so maybe I would lean covering the 5.5, but I like stats on both sides because stats don't always tell the picture. Sometimes you got to go with the gut feeling. Sorry, I just want to get in.
No, you're nailed it, because my gut on that game is I like Detroit to win at home, but I can't go against Baker Mayfield getting 5.5 on the road as an underdog. Agreed. I think he's 16-4 or something stupid, on the road of a underdog of X amount of points. There's been a lot of good ATS success there with Tampa Bay, but I'm going to go to the late Monday night game and lay the 3 with Seattle at home against Houston. I have no faith in Houston, none whatsoever. And Seattle they're winning me over slowly because I think they're a better overall football team than people think. Like, there was a lot with Sam Darnold going in there, Jay, and the whole, what's Sam going to do? Can he end up, having another Cinderella type season? He doesn't really need to. He's just going to be steady and not screw it up. Their run game is good. Their defense is good. I thought that guy Mike McDonald might have been a goof, but it seems like he's kind of pulling it together. So I'm going to go Seattle at home -3 against a Texans team that I don't think any of us can figure out.
Yeah, they are really hard to figure out. Interesting on Mike McDonald. I want to say he's 10-1 on the road as the Seahawks coach, which is crazy.
Something
better
like
on the road and at home. So what's interesting about that spot for me, right? Seattle goes into the bye, and oftentimes I like, all right, got the Texans at home. You take care of your business going into the bye. Juxtaposed to Houston, though, coming in off a bye after a couple straight wins. So that's an interesting game. I'm going to stay away from there. My silver medal or second best pick of the week, I'm going with the New York Football Giants.
Whoa!
At the Denver Broncos. And I tell you, man, like, I am buying what Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are selling. Like, give me fucking all of it. I am just all in, right? So originally, when I played the Packers this week in Survivor, I was looking at the Broncos when I played the Packers week 6, I was looking at the Broncos week 7, home to the Giants in Survivor. I'm afraid of that now on so many levels. I believe in Dable, right? And Al Michaels made a very interesting comment about Jackson Dart. Young man coming into the broadcast meeting, and he said at that age, he really read the room. And to hear Al Michaels say that means a lot to me, right? Al Michaels, certainly high-level celebrity, but I worked at Bel Air Country Club 20-plus years ago, met Al Michaels there, right? He played golf there. Even if he was calling a Monday night game, he was at Bel Air Country Club 7:30 in the morning playing golf. And I think being able to read the room like that says a lot about a young quarterback being able to lead a room, right? And Cam Scatterbo, I should have looked up where he went in the draft, but I'm just all in, right? So one other thing, Al Michaels, I just had to, this popped into my head. So the eye black on Jackson Dart, it's like, it's some Star Wars Anakin Skywalker reference that's over my head. I love that it's over Al Michaels' head too. Al Michaels said, he's like, other than John Williams music, John Williams, gifted composer, also Bel Air Country Club member. He said, other than John Williams music, I'm not a Star Wars guy. Me neither, Al. But anyway, I'm taking the Giants +7. I said Denver Broncos almost lost to the Jets in London. They should have. I like Denver, but I can't trust them, so I'm taking the 7 points with the Giants.
I know when we talked New England and Carolina, I had strong words for Carolina being a shitty football team, right? Well, now they found someone who is sunken lower than them. It's only Carolina -2. I know they're going on the road, but they're playing the Jets. So what am I? Wait, I'm only laying 1.5 now on DK. Yeah, I don't love the Panthers, but the Jets can't win nothing. I mean, they can't even get a scratchy and hit for $2. They are terrible. And Carolina, I think, almost wins by default. Like, Carolina's probably not going to play great. That game will be bowling shoe ugly. But why should I have faith that the Jets are going to do anything positive and win a game?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. As I think about this game, I sort of pass by it, right? Garrett Wilson is out, right? That matters. And Carolina at 3-3 is better than people think. Ted McMillan, certainly a deserving first-round draft pick there, right? Rico Dowdle, what he's doing. I mean, like, I agree. It's interesting, Gresh, if you saw it at 2 and now 1.5 indicates perhaps some money coming in on the Jets. I'm with you firmly on that one.
Yeah, I can't look at the Jets and think that they're going to do anything well. Your gold medal pick, sir.
I love it. Carolina Panthers is yours. So my gold medal selection for the week, and this is a simple handicap. So I'm getting the Philadelphia Eagles, defending Super Bowl champion, -1.5 at good old friend Carson Wentz and the Minnesota Vikings. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles -1.5, almost with blinders on. I think there's a lot of disarray in Philadelphia to an extent, but I also think if Jalen Hurts hits that deep ball to Devontae Smith, I think that maybe the whole game changes. So I like the Eagles -1.5 at Minnesota. Carson Wentz, who might be starting. I know Minnesota's off a bye, right? But Philly's off a bad loss Thursday night against the Giants, right? So I think they get a little extra time too. I don't think Carson Wentz beats his old team here. I don't think the defending champs lose 2 in a row. I like a lot of what Minnesota is doing. They had a couple international games before the bye, went 1-1 there. I don't know, though. When I look at Philadelphia, right, I still believe in a lot of what they're doing, and this league can be funky sometimes. And so I just think they're going to regroup with that couple extra days. And it's a little bit of a blind play because as an Eagles fan, a lot going wrong, right? Penn State fired their coach, lost a couple games, right? Phillies are out of the postseason, a lot not going right in that state. But when I see that number by the defending champs and they're going against Carson Wentz, I like that angle a little bit going against Wentz. If Wentz is out, that may scare me more.
I like it. I also think the Eagles are going through a little bit of a strain right now. And normally good football teams who win at a high level, this is where they hit their sort of strain of the season and they kind of get through it. And that's what I'm expecting for the Eagles right here. They're going to keep battling. They're not going to pack it in. It's a bump in the road for them. And the more I heard you break that down, the more you were kind of talking me into it. I know we've hit gas overtime, but do you want to take a minute and discuss options for Survivor this week?
I'm glad you asked. I'm really glad you asked because, yes, I do. And I want to ask your advice on this. And I was actually I was looking for something to do on the OT. I was going to just go through the Patriots schedule and sort of see where maybe we thought they were going to end up. So I told you I had penciled in. And so in terms of Survivor, we had 4 entries. We're down to 1 entry, which given all the carnage, I'm starting to really hate that word. We're actually pretty happy to have this 1 entry left. We got some good teams still available to us. So, all right. I don't have the Patriots available to me. I'll tell you that at -7.5 at the Titans. So that's one team that I can't go with. I originally was going to go with the Broncos at home to the Giants. So let's start with that game. I picked the Giants +7 as my silver medal pick this week. What do you think how confident would you be if the Broncos were your Survivor selection this week?
I would feel good. How about this? I would be 80% confident that the Broncos are going to handle things. There is that little bit of wiggle room because they do play games close. And are the Giants getting on a roll with 2 young players that are getting hot? I think Scatterbo was either a 3rd or a 4th round guy. They knew he would bring energy to the offense. And it feels like with Jackson Dart in there and his ability to throw the ball down the field, it's kind of helped that run game a little bit. But I don't know, bro. I'd feel pretty good about Denver. I think they're a good team.
And so I'm glad I asked there, right? And so interestingly enough, the other option for me is the Chiefs at home -10, 11, 12, whatever it is, hosting the Raiders, right? So Chiefs at 3-3. I certainly like their chances to get to 4-3. But the reason I would hold off, and what's unique about this Circa Survivor contest, is it's 20 weeks. Thanksgiving and Christmas are their own entities. So Christmas Day, I'm going to just tell you these 3 games real quick. Cowboys at Commanders. Tough game to pick as of today. You agree? Lions at Vikings. Maybe lean Lions, but who the fuck knows, right? This is Christmas Day, late in the year, too. A lot of stakes could be different. And then Broncos at Chiefs. Those are your 3 games you have. So I was saving the Chiefs to use the Chiefs on Christmas Day if I got there against the Broncos. But you got to get there. So for me, I have more confidence in the Chiefs at home to beat the Raiders this week than the Broncos at home against a Giants team that has a really good defensive front that I think maybe could win that game. You know, there's a reason why the Chiefs are maybe 11-point favorites. Denver maybe 6.5, 7. So I'm leaning Chiefs as of this point, but I'd sure love to save them for that holiday.
It would be nice to have them for the holiday, but you're right. You got to get there. And then what are you evaluating from a handicapping standpoint that individual week? The 2 teams that I was going to say to you that I really like, one was the Chiefs. Feel really good about that one.
I know.
The other one would be Green Bay on the road at Arizona. And I know Arizona ended a bunch of Survivor entries already this year. But Green Bay sets up, I think, pretty well to go on the road and match up against Zona there. So that's sort of just what I'm feeling.
Yeah. Well, in terms of that game, real quick, Packers aren't available to me, but I do like them. Well, no, and I don't know if Kyler Murray's playing, but I absolutely love the Packers in that spot. All right, before we get out of here, humor me real quick. We're just going to go through the Patriots schedule. All right.
Okay.
So what do we got? We're 4-2 right now. Patriots 4-2.
Yes, sir. 4-2,
right,
baby.
So I'm just gonna count wins. I'm not writing anything down. All right. So at Tennessee, go to 5-2.
Yep. Win.
Home to Cleveland, 6-2.
Yep.
Home to Atlanta.
Ooh.
Why don't we give them a loss?
Yeah,
just
that
for
might
shits
be
and giggles.
That might be dicey. Let's go.
Bijan Robinson really is the best player in football. So let's say 6-3. At Tampa Bay, we'll say loss, 6-4.
Yeah.
Home to the Jets, you win, 7-4. At Cincy,
win,
8-4. Home 100%. To the Giants. You got to give them that one if you're not going to give them Atlanta.
They're beating the Giants. Yep, so against a rookie quarterback.
So you're 9-4 going into your Week 14 bye. Home to Buffalo. We'll give Buffalo that one, right? They get back. Let's just to be fair, even though we may like New England, right. You agree with me there? We'll
Buffalo gets that back. Yeah, Buffalo gets it back.
9-5 at Baltimore, who's probably going to be playing for a lot. I think we need to give them a loss there.
Well, I think Jackson will be back, and they're
he's back this week.
Yeah, they're such different football teams, and I think Baltimore is going to get hot and go on a run. So I might say loss there. Yeah.
So let's say 9-6, and then you finish with 2 wins at the Jets and at Miami. You know, so you go 11-6.
Wow.
So to me, I think 11-6, Gresh, is almost worst case scenario if they stay healthy and play decent football.
So think of this. Even just beating up on the bad teams, right?
Exactly.
Get the next 2. Yep. That gives you 6 wins. If you
don't think I like Drake May to beat Michael Penix coming in, I do.
But if you figure the last 2 weeks of the regular season are going to be wins, now you're looking at 8. So good really, point. In the rest of that run, all you do is get 2, and there's Jets Giants mixed in there. Luckily, they gave the NFL gods gave New England the Jets later in the year when everybody has really quit and gotten downtrodden on the Jets, but. You and I talked about at the beginning of the year, there could be 10 wins on the schedule and in this team. And, even though I was down that they didn't start 3-1 like I thought they were going to, if you look halfway through the year and you say, well, shit, after 8 games, you're 6-2. Yep. You're feeling great about where they're at. And look, Jay, even if it turns out that all they do is beat the really bad teams on the schedule, that's such a step forward from where we were last year. Oh. I don't think people can really understand it.
And what I'll say, final thought from me today is that where the Patriots are at right now, I think for a lot of us, we're not that surprised, motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
But it literally is the best case scenario. Like everything, all of us as Patriots fans, everything we hoped and thought, every single thing, it really is best case scenario to have Mike Vrabel, who is without question as elite a head football coach as you could really have. It makes such a difference. It is just unbelievable. And I never thought number 7 feels so much closer than it did 10 months ago. It's unbelievable.
Look, if Mike Vrabel leads this team to 10 wins and they have a first round playoff, they have an opening wild card round playoff loss, that would be I'd welcome that in a heartbeat, because that shows that they made up for what turned into the mistake of last year. Like, last year was just so bad. If you just find a way to make up for it this year, again, even 9-8 and losing a tiebreaker and not getting into the playoffs still feels like such a Herculean jump from where they were last year, that you're right. It's hard not to get excited. And look, I've said this for weeks now. While I didn't do the cannonball in the pool on Drake May like a lot of other people, what the kid has done is stack weeks together where he's gotten better. And every game, there's been something new about his game that we can point to and say he's getting better at. I don't need him to be Pat Mahomes, right? He doesn't have to be Josh Allen and say, I'm Superman, and go out and win it on his own. Play steady football. Listen to your offensive coordinator, who is clearly elite at what he does, and you'll get just trust that guy, put in the work, and you'll get better. And that's what's happening with Drake May.
In any walk of life, being confident in what you are doing is paramount. It's just paramount. And I think Drake May is really confident, and that's huge. It's just huge. I didn't see that confidence last year, and I think he is in just such an absolutely ideal situation, right? You talk about the situation when Tim Duncan went to San Antonio and didn't go to the Boston Celtics. Here's David Robinson and Greg Popovich, right? Talk about an ideal situation for a pro, right? I think Drake May is in an ideal situation at 23 years old with this head football coach and this coordinator and this system, and I think that they could do some things a lot sooner than people think.
Yeah, I think I also think the leadership is getting a little better, but there's other leadership emerging on the offense from what I've been hearing. And our guy Bill Campbell is one of those guys. Like, I love it. Ultimately, it's going to be old Bill Campbell's O-line, if not next year, like a year down the road. I'm not saying Onwenu's got to get out of there, because I don't think Onwenu is a real leader anyway. I think Onwenu shows up, does his job, fought for his money, he plays well. You just kind of leave him alone. He's a good listener. But I think in terms of leading that O-line group, I think the youngs are finally starting to grab it a little bit. And you know what? No one really thought about it at the time, because it's a left tackle, and then it's a second-round pick, and it's a quarterback who, didn't blow doors his first year. But when you think about the pillars of the offense moving forward for New England as Drake May, Bill Campbell, and Travion Henderson, those three guys, who with Travion Henderson, it's the whole, hey, I know what a championship team is supposed to look like, at least at the college level. And there's a different level of accountability, I think, with guys like that. And to have those three being the dudes to lead the offense into the future, Jay, I think 5 years from now, we will look at that group sort of the way we did maybe Brady like Kevin Falk, we hope, in terms of the leadership and what they mean to the program.
Absolutely love it.
And that's it for us. We went to gas overtime. We gave you some picks. We gave you some Survivor stuff. We gave you probably too long-winded a story of how I almost goozled a mofo in the lobby of a restaurant in Las Vegas. God help us all. But that's it for us. Great job by Cody Merrow. For Jay, I'm Gresh. This is Gas. We're back next week.